Hi, everybody. I was looking through some of my, and look, I told you my hair it looks much, see this? I don't know. It looks much better than I thought it did, to be honest. But I was looking through some of my older videos on my YouTube page, and I realized that the ones that were most popular were, I guess, me reading a book. So this is the part where I say nothing I read is going to be as my content. It's all read from books. I'm not trying to make any money off of this. I'm just trying to kind of see what my brand is, and I think it might be reading right now because I love to read. So today we're gonna read Aesop's Fables, and if you can't read that, I'm gonna turn it upside down so maybe you can. And today, I think we're just gonna flip and we're gonna read 3 stories. Normally, I do a little research and figure out what I want to read, but today I don't care. The Aesop's Fables always have a meaning behind them. That's very important to me right now today, but also the theme of the day, like I said before on my TikTok, is patience. So hopefully we'll have some stories about patience, but let me do some flipping real fast and then we'll see what the first story is. Let's try this one. This is called The Blind Sheep. Obviously this is Aesop's Illustrated Fables. Fables. I think they used to be called foibles. That could be made up in my head though, so don't quote me. Don't quote me now. The Blind Sheep. A certain poor sheep, I'll slow down. A certain poor sheep was so unfortunate as some years before his death to become blind. The owl, who had assumed himself to the profession of occultist to his majesty the eagle, undertook to cure him. On the morning when the operation was to have been performed, the sheep placed himself in the seat. You can hear my dog. She doesn't like the story. She says, boring. Yes, sigh, sigh. She's just bored of being a dog. The sheep placed himself in the seat and asked the occultist if all things were ready for cure. I've never read these through, I don't think, so I'm struggling to read the Old English and get the pronunciations right. Pronunciations? I don't know. I don't care. Pronunciations? I don't care, I'll get it. Blah, 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 blah. The occultist answered, yes, my instruments and plasters are all prepared, and nothing is wanting. I, said the sheep. I. Probably I, said the sheep. These things you've mentioned are of least importance towards giving one that satisfaction I desire by the recovery of my sight. Tell me, how goes the world? Why, even just as it did, said the owl, when you fell blind. Sayest thou so, friend? Replied the sheep. Then prieth thee hold thy hand and proceed no further, for I would not give a blade of grass to recover my sight if I must again be punished in beholding enormities so odious in the eyes of all innocent creatures on earth. And it says that the long and short of this video, of this fable, is no remedy for the world's ills is as great as an ill as any. And what does that mean? I think it means that, it doesn't, if you live blind your entire life to what's really going on in the world, why would you want to become almost a number, Because this man, he could have had his sight cured, but when he realized the world was the same as it was when he went blind, what was the point? People are the same as they've always been. So it's all about in our heads. Everything that we struggle with is generally going to be something that's in our heads. All right, let's get one that's maybe not so complicated. Good golly, Miss Molly. Let's see. The miser. A miser once buried all his money in the earth at the foot of a tree, and went every day to feast upon the sight of his treasure. A thievish fellow, oh no, who had watched him at this occupation, came one night and carried off the gold. The next day the miser, finding his treasure gone, tore his clothes and filled the air with his lamentations. A neighbor, hearing his outcry and learning the cause, said, "Pray do not grieve so, but go and get a stone, place it in the hole, and fancy it's your gold. It'll be quite of much as service as the money was. Wealth not used is of no value at all." So by storing your riches and by sitting there and not using them, and money, I need more, and not doing anything with that money, and I'm not talking about spending it. We're talking about growing it in ways that are undoubtedly investments, strong, solid investments, even risky investments. Invest your money, let it grow for you. Money is one of the strangest addictions and the strangest drugs of all, because it's one of the only ones, if not the only one, probably the only one, that you can take and flip it to where it's doing something positive and will never hurt anybody ever. It's beautiful. It's symmetry. It's science. It's math. It's shapes. It's everything, y'all. All right, one more quick one. We're going on a little longer than I thought I was going to. Blah, blah, blah. Blah. Oh. I guess we did a hard one first, and then an easy one, do a hard one again. The Bee and the Spider. The Bee and the Spider once entered into a warm debate about who was the better artist. The Spider urged her skill in the mathematics and asserted that no one was half so well acquainted as herself with construction of lines, angles, squares, and circles, that the web she daily wove was a specimen of art imitatable by any other creature in the universe, and besides that her works were derived from herself alone, the product of her own bowels, whereas the boasted honey of the bee was stolen from every herb and flower of the field. Nay, that she had obligations even to the meanest weeds. Interesting. I've never heard that. She had obligations even to the meanest weeds. What the hell does that mean? That's a thinker. To this the bee replied that she was in hopes that the art of extracting honey from the meanest weeds would at least have been allowed her as an excellence, and that as to her stealing sweets from the herbs and the flowers of the field, her skill was there so conspicuous that no flower ever suffered the least diminutive of its fragments from so delicate an operation. Then as to the spider's vaunted knowledge in the construction of lines and angles, she believed that she might safely rest the merits of her cause on the regularity alone of her combs. But since she could add to this sweetness and excellence of her honey, and the various purposes for which her wax was employed, she had nothing to fear from a comparison of her skill with that of the weaver of a flimsy cobweb. For the value of every art, she observed, is to chiefly be estimated by its use. Neither ingenuity nor learning is entitled to regard, but in proportion as they contribute to happiness of life. That just means that everyone's talents are useful in their own way, and that you can't get caught up in the cobweb of life worrying about whether or not yours is better or if it makes more sense. And that's something that for me is really hard to understand. But hopefully, as we go through these little journeys that I like to do, whether that's talking or, reading. Hopefully we'll all understand something a little bit more because, to be honest, I might not just be doing this for me. I mean, I might not just be doing this for everybody else. I might be doing this so I understand myself, which I think is quite interesting. So just come with me and let's see what we can see, because we're going to see a lot of things and we're going to see them with our own eyeballs. So I'm really excited about that. Thanks for watching, guys, and hopefully you enjoyed these 3 fables. If there's anything you'd like me to read or read or anything, speak, then I'm here. Leave your comments. Thanks, guys.